Today, we are excited to welcome Sara Greicius, Director, Cleveland Talent Alliance with Destination Cleveland. A Bay Village native, Sara stepped into the role of the Director of the Talent Alliance in July of 2022, focused on developing a creative and coordinated talent attraction and retention effort to bring and keep top talent to Cleveland. Prior to joining Destination Cleveland, she worked at Kent State University, where she held the positions of Senior International Admissions Counselor and International Admissions Counselor. She has a passion for education and is eager to learn what motivates others in their learning, which is a great driver for the work of the Cleveland Talent Alliance to motivate talent to choose Cleveland. Please welcome Sara.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy lunch hour. Happy to be here with all of you today. Shall I go ahead and share my screen, Rachel? All right. Let's do that. Okay, how does that look for everyone?
Looks great.
Okay. Well, I will go ahead and dive in. I'll try to keep this brief so that we can really open it up to discussion from the group. But as Rachel said, my name is Sara Greicius. I serve as Director of the Cleveland Talent Alliance, which is a collaborative of nonprofits in the Northeast Ohio region who are all focused on population growth. And so today I wanted to be able to give you an overview of how the Talent Alliance came to be, some recent wins in our 2-year history, and then where we're headed and how you could even get involved or at least spread the message. So, starting with the story, it kind of was the perfect blend of research and the employer community coming to us asking for support in attracting new talent to the region. And so on the research and data side of things, we as a community knew that Northeast Ohio's population had decreased by around 100,000 people over a 10-year period. But that was juxtaposed with a significant growth in the greater Cleveland business sector. So this meant that as a region, we had a very stagnant population that was not able to keep up with the demand of open positions that we had in the region. And if you're looking at just industries of focus like tech, healthcare, and manufacturing, that meant that between 50,000 and 60,000 positions looking for skilled talent were open on an annual basis. In terms of economic impact, this meant we were leaving millions, if not billions of dollars on the table due to the fact that each one of those positions, if filled, would be adding around $30,000 in annual income back into the regional economy. So again, that's on the numbers side. And then at the same time, employers were coming to one or more of our Talent Alliance partner organizations, be it Destination Cleveland or Cleveland Leadership Center or Engage Cleveland, and saying, hey, you do a great job marketing, or you really understand college students or young professionals. How can you help my company attract and retain talent? And so we knew that we all had to work together so that we were pulling the unique levers that each of our organizations could offer, and we weren't doing this work in a silo. So once we agreed this all had to be done collectively, we did some additional research to understand, can Cleveland compete at this level in attracting talent? And what we found from that research is ultimately yes, but that talent relocates because they're looking for a better quality of life, to be closer to family and friends, or obviously because they've been offered a new job. And we know that those are 3 things that Cleveland and the surrounding region can offer abundantly. I think we're all aware of the quality of life that we have here in terms of affordability, housing availability, kind of that ease of being able to immerse yourself into a mid-sized city, but still getting all of the perks of living in a major metropolitan area. And then, you know, the joke goes that go anywhere in the world, you'll find someone from Cleveland. So we're pretty confident that we can attract what we call boomerangs back to the greater Cleveland region, or individuals that grew up here and moved away for whatever reason. And then, like the numbers show us, we have thousands and thousands of jobs open. So we know talent are going to be able to be sold on our quality of life and be able to find that career opportunity here in Cleveland. So with that, these 14 organizations got to work on forming the Cleveland Talent Alliance as it stands today. I won't go through each one of these 14 partners, but you'll see here representation all the way from the city to the state level and everywhere in between, with organizations that represent different audiences that we're focused on attracting and keeping here in Northeast Ohio, be it college students, young professionals, international newcomers, manufacturing talent, organizations that help us better understand and talk about our neighborhoods, and so on and so forth. And then I'll quickly just highlight the reason that my position sits at Destination Cleveland specifically is because consultants and research told us again that talent, when relocating, the first thing that you need to do to capture them is tell the story of your destination. And of course, Destination Cleveland has been doing this historically on the visitor side of things, but the organization was ready to take on the live work side, as we call it, or that permanent resident attraction. So that's why my role sits at DC, but I'm most often out in the community collaborating with one of our 14 or more alliance partners. So with 14 partners came that many competing priorities and then some. So we really took the first 6 or so months to align on what our mission, vision, and objectives will be to get our work up off the ground. And what we ultimately aligned on is that at the end of the day, our group is here to grow Greater Cleveland's population by both increasing and retaining the number of working age adults in the area. And our hope for that is that the region becomes one of the fastest growing and most diverse metro areas in the Midwest by 2030 by enacting this seamless and coordinated system where all of our organizations and then some are able to work together on kind of this hand-holding process, this journey for talent and employers to find each other and make the match in Cleveland. And then again, our objectives are simple. Increase the number of working age adults in Greater Cleveland and actually build that seamless navigation system for the talent and employers. So then we started to ask, how exactly will we carry out that mission? And we landed on 3 initial strategies to keep our work moving forward. That first one is to improve perceptions of Greater Cleveland as a place to live and work. So that's where that marketing comes in and a lot of the Destination Cleveland expertise. We're currently working off of a baseline that 42% of talent, when surveyed, indicate they're willing to relocate to Greater Cleveland if given the appropriate career opportunity. And by 2030, we want to see that move to 46% of talent willing to relocate. That would put us neck and neck with our peer and competitor cities like Chicago, Nashville, or even Columbus in the next 6 years. Our second strategy is to attract IT tech talent to Greater Cleveland. And our baseline there is that today we stand 6 out of 6 Midwestern cities that talent associate with opportunities in the IT tech sector. So between now and 2030, we want Cleveland to become a top 3 Midwest city that talent associates with opportunities in the IT tech sector. And those other cities, again, include Chicago, Columbus, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and Detroit. And this one is led largely by a Greater Cleveland Partnership as the tech sector intermediary in the community. And then the third strategy that we're working on right now is to retain graduates of Northeast Ohio colleges and universities. And the baseline we're working off of is that when we started this work in 2022, as a region, we were retaining 48% of our students attending Northeast Ohio colleges and universities. So that's students from Northeast Ohio attending our schools, but students coming from out of the region and attending our schools. And by 2030, we want to get that up to 55% of our graduates stay here after leaving a Northeast Ohio institution. And to put that into further perspective, that's about 12,000 to 14,000 students between now and 2030 entering our workforce, as opposed to them going to the Chicagos, New Yorks, LAs. And this one, I want to point out something important here that goes back to breaking down those silos and doing this work independently. We have attached this strategy to the Talent Development Council's goals as well, and that is a consortium of Northeast Ohio college and university presidents who gather on a regular basis to discuss issues and strategies related to our institutions of higher education. And so again, we didn't want this work happening in a silo, and those leaders of those institutions have now adopted this strategy in their work. So that was a super exciting moment for us to keep this work moving and ensure that we have top leadership bought into this initiative. So I wanted to quickly highlight some wins that we've had in the last 2 years across each of these three strategies. I won't read all of these here, but in terms of improving perceptions, we launched a one-stop shop website for relocation because, again, our research showed us that the greater Cleveland community has dozens of resources regarding relocation, but they don't talk to one another and they offer competing information. And so we wanted to create that one central spot where talent and employers alike could turn to learn all that they need on neighborhoods, K through 12 education, industries, hiring, things like that. And we also found that talent, whether they know it or not, the first website that they stumble upon when researching a new place to live or work is actually the tourism website. So rather than having, competing digital presence, we wanted that to live on Destination Cleveland's site because that's where talent are already finding themselves. Also under perceptions, we launched our resident ambassador program, which is an opportunity for potential newcomers to connect with locals who have either relocated themselves or they're just wonderful Cleveland ambassadors and really know how to welcome new people into the region. And so that's been really successful over the last year since we opened up that program. On the tech side of things, we have worked to really define the region's tech story so that when it does come time to actively attracting that audience, we know how to talk about Cleveland as a tech hub and how our industry is unique to this region. We also piloted some programs by hosting experiences that were unique to Cleveland's tech community during last year's Land of Trailblazing Tech Month in October, when we had Futureland, Forbes, and a number of other conferences around tech. And then in the college student work stream, we have been able to connect with more than 1,500 college students in the greater Cleveland region who, again, are either studying here or interning here during the summer months. We launched our signature event, Summer in the Land, which was really a party for interns to get out away from the four walls of their intern company and just meet with each other and explore the city with one another. We're working with 8 and more college institutions, but really in the Northeast Ohio region, beyond just greater Cleveland, all the way from Oberlin down to Kent State and beyond. And I mentioned our signature events on the college student side as well. So I wanted to hit a little bit on where the Talent Alliance is going later this year in 2024 and beyond. So in the college student pillar, we are hosting a winter career expo, and this is largely led by Cleveland Leadership Center and Greater Cleveland Partnership. As a means of getting students who are from Northeast Ohio, but attending school out of region, we want to capture them when they're back in market for the holidays and show them all of the professional opportunities that we have to offer them when it comes time to look for an internship or even career opportunities after graduating. So we're hoping to have around 75 employers there with workshops, headshot opportunities, and networking. And then Destination Cleveland will work more strategically on harnessing the power of the visitor. So really thinking about conferences and events that come to town and how we're getting in front of those conference attendees and talking to them about the live work message and gauging whether or not they would be interested in relocating here upon visiting the city and how that kind of impacts their views on living and working in Cleveland. I'll also be focused on spreading the message, just like I'm doing today with all of you, to our employer communities and stakeholders who just really see this as an important aspect of the greater Cleveland community. And and again, making sure that this is community driven, employer driven, and we're getting as much input and support from the greater Cleveland community in this effort. And then research, research, research is the name of the game. We want to ensure that every strategy we're enacting is based in research. We will throw a lot of things at the wall and see what sticks, but everything we are throwing at the wall, it will be backed by data, so that we can track what we're doing, show what worked, what didn't work, and really track those KPIs between now and 2030. And then lastly, I just wanted to share a couple of ways that you can get involved either as an employer or again, one of those activated community members. So know that the Move to Cleveland website exists. Feel free to share that far and wide with people you may have in your own pipelines or family and friends that you're wanting to move back to Cleveland. We are also launching a campus ambassador program where college students can speak to their peers on campus about what it's like to live, learn, and thrive in Greater Cleveland. So if any of you have touch points to college students, let us know and we can get them signed up as campus ambassadors. Or if you'd like to serve as a resident ambassador volunteer and connect with those newcomers as they share interests, we'd be happy to have you join that team. And just continuing to spread this message far and wide. And if you know of other efforts in the community focused on population growth and talent attraction or retention, just send it our way and we'll ensure again that we're all working hand in hand with each other as opposed to competing so that we can scale this effort and make the biggest impact possible for the greater Cleveland region. So I will stop sharing and hand it over to everyone if you have questions and comments.
Great, Sarah. Thank you so much for quickly sharing a lot of work that's been happening over the past few years to really build the Talent Alliance. Talking about the website and a hub where everyone can come together, is this the place where jobs are being posted? How are there discussions around a centralized job search site?
That's a great question and something that we have been discussing since day one because, like I mentioned, the various relocation websites that exist, the same can be said of job platforms and career search tools. And all of them are needed, is what we've come to find, but they each focus on pretty niche audiences. So what we need to do is create a platform that can get to talent at scale. And it's not just for college students or just young professionals or just a certain industry, but it is that big amalgamation of all the careers in the Northeast Ohio region. So currently, we link to a couple of those different resources that focus on niche audiences, but we are in talks currently to, hopefully by December, you get a sneak peek with that tidbit, is launch an actual regional job platform, and it would live on that Move to Cleveland website.
So a large part of the work, it's yes, retention or attraction, but also the retention side. So can you speak to some of that balance of how you're working with current residents to help them stay here and really thrive here?
Yeah, so in terms of retaining current residents, that's really something we talk to employers about most often and ensuring that employers are equipped to offer competitive opportunities that keep people in their positions long term and not just a quick turnaround of, yes, I found this job in Cleveland, it'll be great for 2 years. No, we want those employers to be able to retain that talent. And so that comes with things like competitive salaries, flexibility in the workplace, be it remote opportunities, hybrid, or just all the things that we learned people are looking for in the workplace in a post-pandemic world. But then it's also about connecting those residents to programs that immerse them into the community, like Cleveland Leadership Center programs or Engage Cleveland programs that welcome people at scale and allow people to meet others, outside of the workplace. So it's a little bit of employer help and also that community touch point.
What are some of the most important ways you would recommend to smaller businesses who are passionate about attracting people to the region leverage some of the resources you've been able to pull together to help attract people to the area?
That's a great question. I would recommend first and foremost, get the people in your pipeline connected with our resident ambassadors. It is so exciting to see individuals reaching out from California, New York, Texas. They get connected with one of our volunteers. They have a conversation over Zoom. Maybe it's even for coffee if they happen to be here for an interview. And their mind is just changed on what it means to live and work in Cleveland. So if you as a smaller business have people, applying, but kind of don't take the full leap to move to Cleveland, that would be my first recommendation for you. And then I can also send you some toolkit items that we've created from Cleveland 101 PowerPoint presentations or imagery and language that you can be utilizing in your own recruitment mechanisms.
You shared some goal metrics of where you hope to be through the work of the Talent Alliance across your multiple strategies. Do you have some initial metrics to be able to share as to how you're making progress towards those goals?
Yes. So I think the most obvious metrics that we can share to date are in terms of things like web views on our Move to Cleveland site, which surpassed initial goals. I think it's now up to 60,000 views on that site. And that's with no marketing being done to the page, I should add, because what we really wanted to do is perfect the back end system, get people who are just naturally kind of stumbling upon us accidentally and ensure the website is meeting their needs before we turn on that marketing spigot. So we're really proud that people are naturally looking up Cleveland, and once they land on our website, they're spending significant time there. They are signing up for our intake form and communications journey, and they are opting in to connect with those resident ambassadors. And then on the college student side, again, I mentioned we have had touch point with more than 1,500 college students, probably closer to 2,000. And that really started a year ago when we sought out to get all interns together in one place. And as far as I'm aware, that was really the first time the region as a whole was able to say, okay, we have this many interns. This is what they want to experience in Cleveland, and these are the different levers we can pull to show them those experiences in Cleveland. So um, I would say those are some of our most proud metrics right now.
And you mentioned creating kind of this tech story of Cleveland, and Cleveland has quite a healthcare story that's often seen on a national level already. Has there been work done to combine the tech story with the healthcare and how tech benefits healthcare, kind of creating that biotech niche, for instance?
I would imagine our goal is to get there. And something that we always are saying on the tech side of the work is that tech is pretty broad and it's needed across all industries. So while it is an industry of its own, it's also needed in healthcare, it's needed in manufacturing, in finance, in marketing. But right now, the focus is IT tech talent due to the amount of open positions in that area across, again, multiple sectors in the greater Cleveland region.
So, Sarah, your position is very unique in that you are kind of a hub bringing together all of these different players in a space that has a lot of different spokes and a lot of different work going on. What have been some of the lessons you've learned along the way of building this collaboration and bringing organizations together to work?
That is a really good question that I will have to reflect on. But I think the biggest lesson I've learned is, and this is the mentality I came in with, just sit back and listen. I really needed to learn what each of our unique Talent Alliance partners' skill sets were, what their goals and priorities were before I came in and said, okay, this is what we're going to do collaboratively. So I really took a good 6, 7 months to just meet with our different partners and then employers in the region to understand what they need before taking any steps forward. And I'd like to think that that allowed us to start off on the right foot and have them view me as that neutral source that's not working for the benefit of Destination Cleveland or any one organization, but how we all do this together for the greater good of Cleveland.
So, as you think about the additional work that's coming with the Talent Alliance, what additional collaborations or partnerships do you need to help make that work happen?
Yeah, so something I'm really excited to see happen is just more locals getting involved in this work and serving as those resident ambassadors. I mentioned we have 15 right now, but my goal is to get that to, 100 eventually, and that's what some other communities are working with. I just knew as kind of a one-woman show, I couldn't manage more than 15 volunteers, but now that we have people coming in through our website requesting this, I need more volunteers at the table who, again, span industries or just different backgrounds in life, how they got to Cleveland, things like that. So if you're someone out there listening and you get excited about welcoming people in this way, I'd love to have you as an ambassador. And then I think something that we continue to push, and like I was alluding to, is just more employer participation in this. At the end of the day, we exist because employers were asking for this kind of support and hand-holding. But there are those small to mid-size employers who we may not be aware of or don't have touch points to. So spreading this message to them and letting them know that this effort exists.
For those who want to get involved in the ways that you shared or have an idea or might be part of an initiative that could align, what's the best way to connect with you to explore partnerships and collaborations?
Yeah, send me an email. That would be the best way. And I was saying to someone this morning, my whole life just consists of coffee meetings with new community members. So I'll gladly add you all to the list and we'll grab a coffee and chat Talent Alliance.
And I'll be sure to share your email if that's good with you in the follow-up email so that everyone can reach out if interested.
Please do.
So, Sarah, as you look ahead, what does the Cleveland Town Alliance look like 5 years from now?
I think we've just kind of changed how economic development looks in the greater Cleveland region. We help people understand that it's very people-centric and that the more we get people visiting Cleveland and meeting our locals and experiencing it, the more likely they are to move here. So I hope that the Talent Alliance has a hand in kind of shifting that mentality and making this work very people first.
We have time for one question, one final question. What is your favorite selling point to Cleveland for those you are hoping to attract to our region?
My favorite is definitely the green spaces and the nature that we have to offer. I love when we get people here from out of town who have no idea, one, that we're on a lake. There were a couple of funny stories from a major conference Cleveland held a few weeks ago of people saying they were flying, landing at Hopkins, and they literally did not know Cleveland was on a lake, and their mind was blown. And that just tells us a lot of things. Like we need to, spread that message more. And the research tells us again and again that those younger generations are looking for green spaces and ways to immerse themselves in nature. So that's something I'm super proud of and love to partake in myself in my free time.
Well, Sarah, thank you for sharing the great work of the Talent Alliance and all that you've been able to do so far. And we look forward to seeing the impact and the outcomes for years to come.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. And thank you everyone for joining. Please seriously reach out. We'll grab coffee.